What are we hearing?
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יררי יררררררי די, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יררי יררררררי די, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Erev Tov, good evening, Shabbat Shalom. We gather tonight for our Sisterhood Shabbat as we honor and are led by our members of Women of Reform Judaism, including our current co-presidents, past presidents, and leaders of our community. For our service, we use Mishkan Tefillah for Shabbat. You can find that on our website, on the YouTube channel. You can find that on the CCIR webpage. Look for Mishkan Tefillah Shabbat Flipbook. And we will be continuing our service as we turn to page 344 in that book as we join in singing a new song, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash.
Turn all the way back to page 2 as we prepare to bless our Shabbat lights. If you have not lit your own candles at home yet, I invite you to join with us as our cantor lights our Sabbath lights and leads us in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav Shabbat.
Amen. We welcome Shabbat into our lives like a bride, like a queen, with the singing of Lecha Dodi, which is on page 20. We'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, rising as we are able to greet the Sabbath bride on the last verse.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shem u'tiferet v'lithilah Echad Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki mekor haberacha Merosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh v'machshava techila Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Hitareri, hitareri Kiva orech kumi ori Uri, uri, shir daberi Kivod Adonai alayich nigla Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Bo'i v'shalom ateret bara Gam b'simcha uv'tzohola Toch emuneh segula Bo'i chala, bo'i chala Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela.
We may be seated. And even as we welcome Shabbat into our lives, we are also mindful that we welcome into our hearts, into our lives, those who are mourning, who are grieving, who are in pain this Shabbat. And so we extend our heartfelt condolences to Barbara Arenstam, Barbara, to your son Brad, to your whole family on the passing of your father, Irving. May he be remembered for blessing, and may you find comfort in the days ahead. Let's continue on page 27 in the English, and we'll be led by our past Sisterhood President, Sue Paul.
Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways.
Chatzi Kaddish is on the facing page.
יתגדל ויתקדש ברבה בעלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתעלה שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן.
Physically, spiritually, we rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai. Let's join together in the Ma'ariv prayer on page 30, and we'll be led in that by our past president, past Sisterhood President, Jean Goodman.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hachokavim, b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'hoshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
And let's continue on page 33 as we're led by Mindy Frankfurt.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. The more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
We breathe deeply as we join together in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam, Leolam Vaed.
We may be seated, and let's join together in the chanting of the Ve'ahavta, which will be led by our past president and past Sisterhood President, Kim Von Wald.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol lavavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi metzavecha Hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha v'derech, uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha, ukshatam alot Ve'alt al yadecha, ve'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkaru, ba'atzetem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kidoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzei Etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, Lihiot Lachem Le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Let's continue at the top of page 39, the top of page 39, where we'll be led by our past Sisterhood President, Karen Kaplan.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Let's join together in Michamocha on page 40.
Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot oseh v'le nora Yai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, v'nemar ki Adonai et Yaakov u'ge'alom yad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
We give thanks for the night and its rest and the promise of peace that it brings.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Oshmo tzeiteinu uboenu lechayim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim.
Let's join together in Vishamru. You can find the words on page 44.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uven b'lei Yisrael, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Ubayom hashvi shavayit vaynafash, shavayit vaynafash, shavat vaynafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam.
Physically, spiritually, we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi hagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Le'eman Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'Ezrat Sarah Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai Mechayei Hakol Ata Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatal Mechakel Chayim Bechesed Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayim Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umidom Elach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Ata L'Hachayot Hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei Hakol Ata Kadosh U'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kdoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated, and we can turn to page 60. We turn our hearts to prayers of peace as we join together in singing Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasil Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Atah Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom Ki Atah Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasil Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasil Leolam V'tov be'einecha livarech Et Amcha Yisrael Bechol eit uvechol sha'a Bishlomecha Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim
even as we pray for peace for our world, for our community, we also pray for peace and wholeness and healing for all those we know who are in need of wholeness and healing, who need refuat shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, complete healing, a healing of body and spirit. We think of all those afflicted by this pandemic, all those afflicted by the pandemic of injustice. As one congregation, we think of two of our sisterhood past presidents, Marshall Russikow and Gail Dallas. And if you have someone you are thinking of who is in need of healing and wish to share their name out loud, I invite you to do so. First of all, say their name wherever you are. And if you are following along on YouTube, to add their name in the comments below. If you're following along here on Zoom, to add their name in the chat. As for all of them, each and every one of them, we pray for healing.
Mikor habracha b'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu, mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Often we think of Misha Berach, this prayer, as being a sad one, but we also use it as a time to rejoice. And so we also pray for the health and healing and recovery of Kara Rose, her husband Josh, as she recovers from giving birth to their third child, Adeline, who they've named Re'eh in Hebrew. May she live to see her world fulfilled, and may you, all three of you, plus your other two children, all five of you, have health and happiness, and hopefully sleeping through the night soon. With that, we offer up whatever prayer the heart may prompt.
Oh, say shalom, Birama, Huya, say shalom, Aleinu, Ve'okol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen. Oh, say shalom, Birama, Huya, יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
On this Sisterhood Shabbat, we are blessed to have the president of our brotherhood, Jeff Margulies, running tech support this evening, helping us, making sure that everything runs smoothly. And I'm going to ask him, he's going to share his screen for our Torah reading, which is going to be done by our Sisterhood past president and current co-president, Harriet Ann Litwin. As you can see, she's going to be chanting from Parashat Shmini, Leviticus chapter 10, beginning with verse 1, a challenging Torah portion, a heart-wrenching Torah portion involving the death of Nadav and Avihu. We're going to hear Sarah Kittinger, our other Sisterhood president, co-president's Torah on this, but we're going to turn to Harriet Ann to chant these verses. First, we will do the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. We praise you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who gives us mitzvot to sanctify our lives and bless us and joins us to busy ourselves with Torah. Harriet Ann, it's all yours.
Vayichu bnei Aharon, Nadav v'Avihu, ish machtato, vayitnu vahen eish, vayasimu eleha ketoret, vayakrivu bifnei Adonai Sarah asher lo tziva otam, vateitzei eish milifnei Adonai vatochal otam, vayamutu lifnei Adonai, vayomer Moshe el Aharon, hu asher diber Adonai lemor, bikrovai ekatesh, ve'al penei kol ha'am ekaved, va'idom Aharon.
Yasher Koach, well done, well done. And Jeff, we thank you for sharing your screen, and you can bring us back to full view. Harriet Ann, beautifully done, beautifully done. With that, we turn to Sarah Kittinger to share her wisdom as she gives tonight's Devar Torah.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Sarah Kittinger, and as Rabbi Robinson said a few moments ago, I am co-president of the Sisterhood, which is just one of the many hats I wear here in the congregation. I want to thank you all for joining us this evening as we celebrate all of the wonderful women who make up our community. Harriet Ann just beautifully chanted for us this week's portion. And what stands out for me is Aaron's sons placing an offering before the eternal alien fire. This conjures up visions of glowing green flames ready to leap out if we don't appease it. The portion continues with, or is translated with, "This is what the eternal meant when God said, 'Through those near to me, I show myself holy and gain glory before all people.'" Could this alien be fire and getting too close to it be symbolism for the virus that we've been facing the past year? Sure. I believe any portion can be related to the times that we are in. We have all endured suffering over the past year. We've experienced many types of loss. Community during the time of COVID has been a struggle. We long for the physical closeness of family and companionship of friends. Instead, we needed to not be near one another, but to be 6 feet apart at all times, maintaining social distance to help flatten the curve. And that's hard because we long for that closeness. We long for community. So how do we draw ourselves near in a time where we need to be physically apart for our health, for our safety, which does not necessarily benefit our well-being? For Sisterhood, we miss the annual social, books and bagels, and the garage sale. We miss being able to leave the house without having to make sure we have a mask, hand sanitizer, gloves if we so choose, etc. We just miss. But we do have many things to remember, reflect, and be thankful for. WRJ made so much programming available virtually. The Freed Women's Conference for 2020 went almost overnight from sunny Arizona to the comfort of our own homes. We have online resources for programming. We were able to be together virtually for Passover, 2 so far, high holidays, Hanukkah, and many Shabbat. Technology has become a best friend for most of us. And thinking about the women who came before us, especially the members in 1918 of the then National Federation of Temple Sisterhoods, how did they manage to stay connected during the flu pandemic? Clearly, the internet was not an option. NFTS was only 5 years old when the 1918 pandemic occurred. That could have been the end of the organization, but it wasn't. They persisted. They grew, they enabled change, and allowed us to be here. They made it through, just like we are, by not forgetting our mission and purpose. The women who came before us and who are with us here today are at the forefront of social action and change. We celebrate and honor our Beth Emeth Sisterhood. Each one of us makes a difference. And looking to the future, the hopefully near future, we want to get back to our regularly scheduled programming of books and bagels, volunteering, tour outings, socials, and maybe, just maybe, the garage sale. I'm looking forward to us being together, to learning together, to growing together, and to influence change together. My thanks to the women who came before me, my thanks to the women who are part of the Sisterhood today, and with open arms, look forward to all of the future members to come. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom and Yasher Koach, Sarah. Beautifully, beautifully written and beautifully delivered. Thank you. We're going to continue with Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282. Page 282, and for this, I invite us all to rise, physically, spiritually, however we are able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad.
We may be seated as we turn to page 294. Page 294. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. God gives, God takes away. Blessed be the name of God. If you are in the first 30 days of your mourning, the period of Shloshim, wherever you are, physically, spiritually, I invite you to rise at this time. And if you are in the first year of your mourning, I invite you to rise. And if you observe a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a loved one's passing on this Shabbat, I invite you to rise at this time. And if it is your custom to rise to remember those whom only we can remember, those who have died from this pandemic, those who have died from injustice, the martyrs of our people, all those who have died sanctifying the divine name, I invite you to do so as we join in Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shemei d'kudusha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran bi'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We remember Renee Chertel, Irene Detweiler, Howard Sands, David Markell, Irving Hirschbein, laid to rest just this week, William Ballison, Bell Block, Marcus Brand, Yetta Chaikin, whose first yahrzeit is commemorated, Edward Coopersmith, Madeline Gagliani, Harry Glick, Myrtle Beatrice Goldstein, Jeffrey Goldstein, Herman Goodman, Ethel Crosscove Gross, Herman Handloff, Ernest William Hartsky, Zelda K. Herman, Bertha Kreshtul, Marge Mayroff, whose first yahrzeit is commemorated, Annalise Monheit, Sophie Ostro, Elizabeth Rosenbaum, David Rossman, Marcia Sloan, a past president of Sisterhood, Molly Stein, and Freddie York. And I would ask if you have a name to add, feel free to do so again on Zoom, in the chat, on YouTube, in the comments below. For all of them, we say, Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing, and we may be seated. We are so incredibly fortunate to have Marilyn Morrison, our Mid-Atlantic District President, here to bring words of greeting from the Women of Reformed Judaism. So I'm going to turn things over to her so she can share her wisdom with us.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you so much for the warm invitation to join this evening's Congregation Beth Emeth Sisterhood Shabbat. My name is Marilyn Morrison, and as WRJ Mid-Atlantic District President, I am happy to bring you greetings. Beth Emeth Sisterhood has always been a great supporter of all things WRJ, especially playing an active role in Mid-Atlantic District activities and leadership. You all are a shining example of Tikkun Olam in every way. In fact, the last time District Sisterhoods met as a group in person was October 2019, when we met at your lovely temple for the Fall Kala and to celebrate a true treasure, former WRJ North America President and Sisterhood member Connie Kreshtal, as the Mid-Atlantic District's first Women of Valor Award recipient. And I think we all can agree that Connie exemplifies that award name. Shortly before the pandemic, I began a Musar practice, the Jewish spiritual practice that gives concrete instructions on how to live a meaningful and ethical life. It's based on the idea that by cultivating inner virtues, we improve ourselves. Throughout this past year, we've tackled patience, loving kindness, simplicity, and so many others. I credit Musar for keeping me focused and present during this past year of turmoil. This month, the attribute we are examining is Givaru, strength. We know that God is strong because we have a prayer, the Givarut, the second blessing of the Amida, Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai. You are strong, mighty, powerful forever, Adonai. According to Musar readings, and I'm not an expert by any means, the counterbalance to strength is loving kindness. I'm proud that women of Reformed Judaism in Mid-Atlantic District display strength in their convictions to stand against injustice in this world. We have shown this so many times with WRJ's advocacy and social justice programs on racial inequality, women's health initiatives, and voting rights for all. We show loving kindness every day by supporting the WRJ Yes Fund, which provides to URJ camps, needed now more than ever, and organizations such as the Leo Beck School. Congregation Beth Emmet Sisterhood has always and will always be in the forefront with their continued commitment to WRJ and the district, and with profound gratitude, I thank you all for that continued support. I look forward to seeing many of you during future virtual programming events, such as the district meeting in Havdalah next weekend, the insightful discussion series on the book Cast, and your own Harriet Ann Litwin will be showing us all her amazing challah braiding techniques in the coming months. She thought I forgot, but I didn't. It's still on my radar. Thank you all again for the kind invitation to attend and be a part of this wonderful program. As the WRJ slogan states, stronger together. I look forward to being with you all in person very soon and giving lots and lots of hugs. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom and Yasher Koach, and thank you for sharing that. And as a fellow Musar fan, very much appreciate you sharing your words. And thank you so much for being here with us. Well, somewhat more convenient being able to be here without having to hop in the car and drive up to Wilmington. One always ascends to Wilmington, Delaware. It is still a shame that we cannot be in person, and I too look forward to when we can all be in person soon. Thank you also once again to Harriet Ann Litwin and Sarah Kittinger for chanting Torah and for your wonderful Devar Torah. And again to Sue Paul and Jan Goodman and Mindy Frankfurt and Kim Von Welton and Karen Kaplan for helping lead our service this evening with chanting and readings and being present just as you are present in our community. Lots going on in our community. There is a Brotherhood program tomorrow night that should be a hoot and a holler with a comedian. If you haven't signed up for that, worth attending. Of course, Torah study tomorrow morning at 9:30, followed by our first attempt at in-person outdoor services. You had to have registered in advance. So if you didn't do that, you can try it again next week. But looking forward to seeing people and being with people in 3 dimensions, even if we have to wear a sweater tomorrow in order to do it. Lots else going on, especially through our community. If you look on our website, if you look in our newsletter, if you look in the weekly email, you will see all of it. With that, we're going to turn to page 342 in our prayer books, 342 in Mishkan Tefillah, as we conclude with a song that gets a lot of use at Sisterhood Shabbats, but it's a good one. Cantor,
I just realized. I was saying, you can't necessarily dance with each other over Zoom, although I would love to see you try. We joined together in Miriam's song, once again on page 342. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. As Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the seas, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long.
Shabbat Shalom all. Thanks for joining us. If you're following along on YouTube, you can hop